Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name's Adriana. I'm a knitter living with my husband and kids on the east coast of Canada. And today I'm excited to talk about some things that I've been working on this past month. I have one finished object and two works in progress to share with you. Starting with my finished object. Maybe you can see it back here. You've noticed. This is my cinema sweater completed. This pattern is by Veronica Lindberg. This is my second one by her. So her name is Veronica Lindberg, but her YouTube username is Kutavakika. So you might know her by that rather than her Veronica Lindberg name, but all of her patterns go under Veronica Lindberg. This is what it looks like. Last time I shared this with you, I think I just had a little bit more of the body left to do, like I was pretty close to being done. So since then, I've obviously finished the body. I weaved in all the ends and then washed and blocked it, dried it, tried it on. It's very drapey. Much drapier than the other sweaters I've knit this past year. And I think that's because of the yarn I used. I used one strand of Drops brushed alpaca silk in the color 5 beige. And also one strand of Drops Flora, which is, so the brushed alpaca silk is alpaca and silk. And then Drops Flora, that's a mixture of wool and alpaca, and that color was in the color 7 beige, and this is what they look like together. I'm really happy with how they like knit together. The Flora, even though they're the same name, they're not the same number but the same name, beige, they are not the same colors in person. The Flora is much lighter than the brushed alpaca silk, and I'm happy with, I like that they're a little bit different because then it gave a little bit more like dimension, I think, to the fabric once it was knitted together. I'll put some pictures of what it looks like on. It's so hot here. We just went through a heat wave, and I actually finished it at the beginning of the heat wave. So taking pictures with it on, I was sweating because this is like mostly, or like a good portion of it is alpaca, which is super, super warm. But I got some pictures with it, and I'll put them in. It feels really nice, really soft wearing it. I don't think I've worked with the brushed alpaca silk before, but not for a garment to be like it was like for a scarf. And so this was my first time having it like on my body. I didn't find it itchy. Now I didn't have it like on for long because it was so hot. I just kind of put it on, took some pictures, and then took it off. But for a while it was on, it felt very comfy. I didn't feel itchy from the alpaca. And yeah, I'm really happy with like the drapiness of it. I wanted it to be an oversized, loose, kind of flowy a little bit sweater. That's what I was going for with this, and I think I got it. The arms are a tad long. I think last time I was saying how I was kind of getting a bit of a balloon sleeve effect with the cuffs cinching in, which I wasn't a huge fan of. So when I blocked it, I stretched out the cuffs a little bit so that they wouldn't stop at my wrists. Like they were, yeah, before I blocked it, they were tight around my wrists so it wouldn't like slide down my hand. Now it slides down my hand pretty easily, and it goes pretty far. Like, yeah, the sleeves are a little bit long. I think taking off 2 centimeters would make it a little better, but I will wait. If I do any modifications, if I decide to do any modifications, I'm going to wait until I actually wear this in the fall. And, you know, after wearing it a few times, if I'm really noticing that, like, okay, these sleeves are long and they're like getting in the way of me doing things and making me not want to wear the sweater, then I might take out a couple centimeters in both sleeves. So right now they end kind of like right here. If my hands are like straight down at my sides, they kind of end right here. So it's not totally covering my fingers, but it's like, it's most of my hand that is being covered by this. So if I'm like doing things, I feel like I'm gonna need to either roll them up or just keep like flipping them up with my arms, you know? So yeah, I'll wait until fall to see how it like actually wears and if the sleeves are actually kind of like bothering me. I was also, before it was blocked, I was a little worried about the neck. It seemed like really wanting to sit really high up on my neck and tight. The pattern photos didn't show it to be that way, so I was expecting it to kind of loosen up, and it did. It sits much nicer now, like not like tight up against my neck, which I'm happy about. This pattern was very easy to follow. It was very easy to understand. She does, Veronica Lindbergh or Kutovakika has a video tutorial going through all the steps of this sweater so that if you have the pattern, you can follow the video and you can see like exactly what she does for each instruction in the pattern. And I don't think I watched any of her instructional video because I had done techniques in previous patterns that were in this pattern. So yeah, I didn't feel like I needed to go watch it. But if this is like your first sweater you're trying out, I think it's really nice to have a video tutorial to help you like get that visual that visual element to the pattern rather than just reading it on paper or on your phone or whatever. It's nice to actually see someone doing the steps of the pattern. I followed the pattern pretty much exactly for the size large, and something went wrong somewhere. I think because this is just stockinette, it's easy to miss an increase, like doing the raglan increases. It's easy to miss an increase or do an extra increase when you're not supposed to. So by the time I was done the yoke, the numbers were kind of off. And I think instead of going for the numbers for the large size, I accidentally went with the numbers for the extra large size. Like I thought I was done the yoke. I counted my stitches and I was like, okay, I think, well, they were off. And then I was like, okay, I have to get them to match the pattern. And I think I went with the extra large numbers instead of the large, because when I was getting to be done the body right before doing the hem, I counted the stitches and they were the number for the extra large size. So yeah, so I think I knit this more to the extra large size than the large size. The neck for sure is the large size. I think the sleeves are large, and then the body is extra large. So it's more wide, but I like it. I like how it looks. I went with her cropped numbers, like the measurements for a cropped version. That's just how I prefer my sweaters to be, or at least this style. Even though I did do the extra large size by accident for the body, I did have enough yarn. It was cutting it kind of close at the end. I think I had enough of the brushed alpaca silk. I think I had enough to do maybe like one more round of ribbing before binding off, or like one more round of like the stockinette body before starting the ribbing. But it was, yeah, it was really close. So I'm glad I stopped when I did. I don't think I would want it longer. Like, it's not like I stopped super early to account for my, like account for the amount of yarn I had. So yeah, I'm happy with this, with the length, with how it turned out. And what else can I say about the pattern? I did switch out all of the just like regular ribbing for a twisted rib. I think it looks neater, but regular ribbing is kind of growing on me in patterns that I'm seeing. Usually when I see a pattern and I see it's like regular ribbed neck and cuffs and hem around the body, I'm always like, okay, that's gonna look so much better if I do twisted ribbing. But lately it's been like, oh, I like the way that looks. So maybe my next one, if it says to do just regular ribbing, I might do just regular ribbing instead of swapping it for twisted. Overall, a really fun knitting experience. It was really like a soothing knit because it's all stockinette. It's really easy. The yarn was really nice to work with. I did use the recommended needle sizes, except maybe not for, I don't think I have the smaller size needle. I don't have a 3mm needle, which is what the neck and the, you know, cuffs and the hem are done with. So whenever a pattern asks me to use a 3mm needle, I tend to use a 3.25mm needle. Also, I didn't gauge swatch. I don't know if this is on gauge. I like the fabric of it and I like how it fits after, so that's all that matters to me for this. I did go ahead and put my pre-blocking and post-blocking measurements on my project page on Ravelry if you want to check that out. It didn't grow as much as I thought it would. I did try to make the arms like shorter because I knew they were going to be long, so I tried to like stretch them out wider than longer. And same with the body, I tried to kind of stretch it out longer rather than wider to yeah, because I had done the extra large size for the body, so I knew it was going to be wide anyway, so I tried to kind of stretch it out longer. I don't think I was like totally successful with that, but yeah, if you're interested in seeing those numbers, you can go to the project page that I have on Ravelry. I'll put it, I'll put a link to my Ravelry. I think it's on my channel page on YouTube that you can check it out at. One mistake that I made while doing this pattern, well, I mean, besides missing the like proper stitch count for the body and raglan increases, was when I was doing my arm decreases. I didn't read the pattern close enough. I feel like when you're doing stockinette, you're just like, yeah, it's stockinette, and okay, do some decreases, this many, whatever. So I didn't read like what I was actually supposed to do for the decreases. And I think I did on one arm, I did a knit two together through the back loop instead of doing what the pattern says to do. And you can definitely see those stitches. Okay, wait, where is it? Okay, no, you can see it, trust me. Here. So, okay, it's not that noticeable, but like you can see that longer leg in the knit stitch at all those decrease points. And I mean, they do kind of disappear. It's kind of fuzzy with the brushed alpaca silk, but on the other sleeve, they're like nearly invisible. Like I cannot see where any of my decreases are. This is the line where I would have done them. I can't see them because I did those ones correctly. So you can kind of see some of the decrease spots on the one arm, but not on the other arm. So that's just reminding me that I need to actually read the pattern, even though I'm, you know, thinking, okay, like this is easy. It's just an arm with decreases, stockinette, no big deal. Yeah, read what kind of decreases you have to do. That's it for this sweater. I do appreciate she had some like short row shaping in the back at the beginning. And I do appreciate that it kind of, yeah, brings the back up a little bit more, and it makes it easy to tell like what the front and back is of the garment. I mean, if the short rows weren't there, it would be like the same both sides. But yeah, it makes it so that there's like a proper front and back, and makes the fit a little bit nicer, I think. Very happy with this. Looking forward to actually getting to wear it in the fall. Let's put it back up. I have 2 works in progress that I want to share with you today. First one is going to be just a short update on my like big blanket project for my son. Last time I'm working on this panel. This is just a pattern I'm making up. It's seed stitch. I'm making 3 panels, just long panels. I'm going to sew them together, or like seam them together at the end. And last time, this is where I was last time. So I've done, you know, a few inches, not a ton. I was more preoccupied with my next project. Yeah, I'm not going to go over this again. I've talked about it a lot in previous episodes. So if you want to see those, you can see more information about this. You can check it out. Check those out. I was more preoccupied with my current, like my go-to project right now, which is this tank top. This is the square neck camisole by Helene Beba. I am using Knitting for Olive Merino. Let me find the ball band. Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Bottle Green. This is what it looks like just in the ball. And this is what it's looking like so far, worked up. And I got like a decent amount of progress done. I had started this a few months ago, and I had the same problem with my needles as I did with the hem and neck and cuffs of this, where I think they asked for a 3mm needle and I don't have one. So I had tried using a 3.25. That's usually what I do when there's a 3mm needle called for in a pattern, and I don't have it. So I do a 3.25. And I was not happy with how the ribbing was looking in this on the 3.25mm needle. So when I decided I wanted to try this again, I went with a 2.75mm needle. I tend to be a little bit tighter of a knitter than what patterns are, or I guess pattern makers, designers are. So I have been a little worried about what the fit of this is going to be like. Usually, okay, so yeah, I didn't do a swatch, a gauge swatch. Usually, whatever I'm making is intended to be oversized. And so that's why I'm not as like concerned with like, okay, my gauge is a bit off, but it's still gonna be oversized. Like it's still gonna fit. With this, it's intended to have, I think, 10 to 15 centimeters of negative ease. So I'm like, okay, this is, you know, we're not working with all this room anymore. Based on my measurements, I should be knitting the extra large size, and that is what I am knitting, even though I am a little bit of a tighter knitter, and even though I'm using a smaller needle size. I have been holding my breath with this, wondering if it's actually gonna fit, And I tried it on a couple days ago and it fits great. There's no problems. I could probably have even done the large size instead of the extra large. I think just because ribbing has so much stretch. So yeah, I'm really happy with, I mean, I gamble with every project I do by not doing a gauge swatch, and so far it's been pretty good for me. Yeah, the ribbing just stretches out so much. Now, how you make this pattern. You knit the two, what are these called? They're not sleeves, straps. You knit the straps. There is going to be like a nice double knitted edge around all of the openings. So it won't be like these skinny little straps when it's done. And then you have to knit the front piece back and forth and the back piece back and forth. I am struggling to get my flat ribbing to look nice. I tried a few different techniques. I'll hold it up. So this part was knit flat and this was knit in the round. You can definitely see a difference, can't you? You can see a clear line where I stopped knitting flat and started knitting in the round. What was happening while I was knitting flat was one leg on like the last knit stitch, so it's like a 3x3 rib. So the last leg on the knit stitch before purl stitches begin, is it that way or is it the first one? I think it's the last one, yeah. The last knit stitch before your purl stitches, that leg was like kicking out a lot and had like a big line, like a big gap. I'll kind of show you what I mean. So this column here of knit stitches on each one was looking quite messy and loose and kind of lumpy. I was really happy with how the first two knit stitches in these like columns were looking. It was just the last one in each set of 3 that I was like not loving how it was looking. So I tried a few different methods, few different techniques. I tried combination knitting for like flat knitting, and that didn't work. Like it didn't change anything. I tried doing where you tighten the first and second purl stitch after switching from knits to purls, and that didn't do anything either. I tried doing, I feel like there was one other method I tried doing as well, and no matter what I did, it kind of all looked the same way. Yeah, I kind of, like towards the end of doing the knitting flat front and back piece, I was like, you know what, this doesn't look so bad. And then I started knitting in the round and I'm like, it looked almost like I had changed colors, or like they were from a different dye lot. Okay, maybe not in this light. But I was like, did I change balls right here? Like, did I join a new ball right here? And then I found where I joined a new ball and I was like, no, it's like, it was further down here. And so it's totally just my technique that up here doing the ribbing flat, it's kind of lumpy and bumpy, and then down here in the round it's much more even. And yeah, so I feel like when I'm wearing it, it won't be very noticeable. I mean, I'm hoping that's what the case will be, but if you have any advice for doing ribbing flat, I want the stitches to be neat. The only thing I didn't try was using, well, I've heard that like maybe your purl stitches are looser than your knit stitches. So some people will use a different needle size to do those purl stitches. But I think that works better if you're doing stockinette flat, because then you're using one needle for the one row and then a totally different needle for the back row. I don't know how you would do that in ribbing without it being like super tedious. So yeah, if anyone has some advice for really cleaning up ribbing done flat, please help me, because I love how the ribbing looks for in the round in the body, which I have had issues with before. Again, with that like last leg of the knit stitch kicking out and being really loose. So I have had issues with that in the past in the round with ribbing, and I did combination knitting for like when I started in the round. I just started right away with combination knitting, and I'm really happy with how it looks. So combination knitting, I'm going to link the video that I followed. It was an Andrea Mowry tutorial that I followed for learning how to do combination knitting. And it is basically where when you do your first round of purl stitches, you knit them all counterclockwise, which is a way that like that's a method I've used a lot with doing purl stitches. But then the next round, in order to make them not twisted, you purl them counterclockwise through the back loop. And that just tightens up your purl stitches and it makes the ribbing look a lot neater. I'll show you like what it stretched out kind of looks like. So this is what the ribbing using combination knitting looks like. I feel like it makes all of the knit stitches very even on the inside. So like on the wrong side, you can really see you have that problem where the like this last leg, so this is a purl side on the right side, a purl column on the right side. You can really see that the last leg kicks out on the wrong side, but on the right side, it looks so good. So I will definitely be using this method for any in the round ribbing I do in the future. Like I said, I did try combination knitting flat for ribbing and I didn't find that it helped at all. I think also this is my first time using Knitting for Olive merino. It's a very thin yarn, like it's very thin. And I'm glad that I'm using that smaller needle size because I think that helps kind of neaten up the ribbing as well. As far as like progress throughout the pattern goes, I decided to do decreases along the sides. I did mess up the decreases. I found the decrease section hard to interpret, just the beginning of it, for my size. I ended up doing, in this little section here, I ended up doing knit stitches when I should have had purl stitches still. So it looks neater on this side. I ended up, so I think I did like 3 or 4 rows like here that were all knit stitches, but it should have been purl. So I did actually, when I came up to it, and like, I think I finally figured out how the decreases were supposed to be done. I laddered down and then redid all of those stitches as purl stitches. And I think this is what the decreases are supposed to look like now for my size. I do love the visual effect that the decreases have. Like it's, I don't know, it looks very visually appealing. How the decreases are done on the sides, like always having like this column of knit stitches, except for the very beginning for my size at least. The thing with the decrease, like the actual decrease points, I feel like I can see them really easily. Maybe you can see them too. I feel like I can see them really easily. I don't know if that'll change after I block it, or if like once it's kind of on the body and like stretched out a bit, you know, that can kind of change how it looks too. I'm used to doing decreases either like on socks where it's like almost put into the style of the socks, and or doing decreases with like a fuzzy yarn held with just like a normal yarn, and the fuzziness kind of like hides all of the more lumpy parts of decreases. So yeah, we'll see what it looks like after blocking. I'm really excited about this tank top, or yeah, camisole. I'm over halfway done the decreases. I think I have like maybe 5 more to do, 4 or 5 more to do. And then just have to knit a little bit more length on the body, and then do the, I think this will be kind of like quite the task, doing all the double knitting at all of the openings. I'm surprised with how fast this is going, even though it's on quite small needles. And I think it helps that you're, at least up until this point, you're always kind of doing something. Like the straps go like fly by really quickly, and then you're doing all the increases and you're knitting flat, so you're doing just one side at a time, so it's easy to see the progress because yeah, you're only knitting one side. And then once you join in the round, you like almost immediately start doing decreases. And yeah, so there's always like something to do. It's motivating. And yeah, it's going a lot quicker than I expected it to be going. I think that's actually everything I have to update you on. I've really just been focusing on this square neck camisole since I started it. Yeah, all my focus is on it. I don't even, right now at least, I don't want to knit on anything else. So, plus also like I have yarn to do, a certain sweater, but I don't want to, like, it's so hot right now, I don't want to have like a big wool thing on my lap while I'm knitting. This is just, it's nice and little, so it's not like making me super warm while I'm working on it. So yeah, that's everything for me for today. A little bit shorter than normal, but I feel like that's just the nature of summer knitting. I'm not so much a summer knitter, more fall, winter, definitely. So yes, thank you for spending time with me and letting me talk about my knitting progress and journey. I hope you got some work done on maybe your own knitting. And I will see you next time. Have a good next couple weeks. Bye-bye.